Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Have some lingering wind this morning from the storms that blew through last night. Fortunately for us, it wasn't too bad. 50-ish mile-an-hour wind gusts. No hail where we were at. But boy, did Oklahoma and parts of northern Texas get it bad. 114 mile-an-hour winds I saw that was recorded. Had looks like some casualties because of that. Fatalities, lots of damage. Certainly be keeping those folks in your prayers. Looks like a lot of problems going on there, and kind of stay as much as you can updated on what transpires out of that. I'm sure there'll be some relief efforts. Some of you might even be able to be involved in that. Wanted to talk to you again this morning about something I've been beating people over the head with quite a bit lately, and that it's all a big psychological operation. And have some things to point out to you that I feel proves that. And it's the stuff that's just going on. And the reason why I want to try to get through to many of you, and I know a lot of you already get it. You already knew this before I said anything. You were on to it. Some of you are still a little in doubt when I talk about it. You're like, oh no, this stuff's really happening. I didn't say it wasn't really happening. It's happening. But it's being done to condition us, to get us, we the people, whether it's Americans or just people of the world, in a place that we will more readily accept their New World Order agenda. It's true. Just a couple of weeks ago at the World Government Summit, they were talking about this. And one of the guys that was speaking was this panel of them. And he's like, well, what will it take to get, they're just so blatant about it. They say it right out in the open. But this guy's like, well, what will it take to get the world to accept this new world order? That's pretty much exactly what he said. And this guy's like, it's going to take a big shock. It's going to take a lot of shock, a lot of death, a lot of destruction, a lot of chaos. And that's what we're seeing happen right now. Well, just be right out in the open and say it. And that's what we're seeing happen. So, let's just go back over the last few weeks. A few weeks ago, the biggest thing for a lot of people online, kind of the big buzz, was this died suddenly thing. All kinds of posts on various different social media of all these people that were just randomly at a young, healthy age, just dying. Athletes and professionals and children and young people, all kinds of stuff. And we were seeing posts about it every day, pretty much. All these, every time someone died with unexplained circumstances or that it just didn't make any sense. Not seeing that so much anymore. Does that mean that people aren't dying? I don't know. I don't know. Or does it just mean that people aren't interested in that anymore? Yeah, maybe that's it. The whole Ohio train thing. Man, last couple of weeks, you couldn't get on the internet without seeing people talk about it. Talk about how everyone was going to die. It's this big, horrible thing, and that there's all these chemicals falling down on people, and they're all going to die. And while there's still a few people talking about it, it's definitely not the top priority anymore. In fact, now it's like, well, eventually, long term, people could get kind of sick from this. It may cause some health problems long term. In the beginning, it was this big hype because, everybody's going to die. And now, well, no one's really talking about it. Is there still a danger there? Yeah, I'm sure there is. I have no doubt about it. But is it the hot topic right now? Nah, not really anymore. Same way with the earthquake and all this other stuff. See, I have a strong belief that for years now, going back a few decades, that especially Western people. We've been conditioned due to all of the TV, video games, sports, internet, social media, everything, to have a very short attention span on stuff. That really plays into their favor. They, meaning the people that rule the world, plays into their favor because we don't pay attention to something very long anymore. Oh, it trends for 24 hours or maybe only 6 hours, maybe only an hour or two. And it's all the talk and all the buzz. And then the next day you wake up and it's something else. Same thing's happening in Ukraine. This one's kind of a weird one. Last week and the weeks leading up to last week, all we heard from Biden and many other world leaders of how there is no other option. Ukraine must win. Ukraine must win, that it's the most important thing. I saw some ridiculous statement from a has-been Rod Stewart, you know, that guy that used to sing and stuff, saying that if Ukraine doesn't win, it'll be the end of civilization as we know it. Seen all this kind of stuff. That's why we're sending billions and billions of dollars. They have to win. There's no other option. And then this morning it's in the news that the Western leaders have been talking and, well, if Ukraine doesn't produce some significant forward movement and wins over this year, that by fall they're going to start compelling Ukraine to, come to some kind of peace negotiation with Russia. What? It was just like last week, a few days ago, we were hearing how it's the most important thing in human history. Ukraine has to win. And now they've kind of backed off of that. I think what goes on, and I am no expert of this whatsoever. I'm not an expert on human psyche and especially psychological operations. I do study it, but very much a uneducated amateur when it comes to that. I think what's going on is that we've got to keep the world, and especially the American people, in just a constant up and down roller coaster. A lot of these things that are happening, the vast majority, I mean, if you added it up percentage-wise, I would guess it would probably be well over 90%, maybe 95% of the American people. The only way they know these things are happening is through their social media. They're not seeing it firsthand. It's a big country. We're widespread. It's not like Ukraine, you know. Do all the Ukrainians in Ukraine know that there's, Russia and Ukraine is fighting? Well, sure, they're seeing it firsthand somehow, some way, even though they're not on the battlefront. They're experiencing it somehow. Whereas Americans, well, we're just not seeing it too much. We're not seeing any of this too much. Most Americans have not seen personally firsthand what went on in Ohio, or earthquakes or tornadoes or anything else like that. We're just getting it through our little Truman Show internet feed. And so as long as they can continually shift and change the narrative constantly, and shift and change the excitement to something new, something different, it's like watching some new movie that the scene is just its constant flashes and changes and different here and scene change, different, quick blast, all kinds of stuff. It's almost like watching a strobe light. And really, in a sense, I think that our brains react to it very much the same way. We react to it because it's constantly different, it's constantly changing, and it's keeping our emotions and our adrenals straight through the roof. And it makes us, in the end, weaker. It makes us less able to think through something, to clearly, rationally understand what's going on and figure out in our minds, is this what's being told? Are we being duped? Some of the stuff may be real. Some of it may not be. And the fact is that we're going through this roller coaster so much that we don't know. We're not able to determine. I mean, there's a lot of talk now that the whole war in Ukraine is a complete fake and fraud. Now, I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that there are people saying that online. Some fairly notable names that have large followings. And they do make some good points. I mean, how many actual real battles have you viewed footage-wise online? When we see a tank shooting off some rounds, or a missile battery, or a few guys, hardly ever any more than 5 or 10. Where's the real battle scenes? Where's the war correspondents in Ukraine showing all this stuff? Not really seeing a lot of that. Again, I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying that they're taking about every opportunity they can to mess with people's minds, get people distracted, get people confused, and get people emotional. And when you're able to do that to someone, you're easily more able to manipulate them. This is very classic of what a narcissist does to the people that he or she abuses. And we're seeing that kind of abuse to we, the American people, and really to the rest of the world. This sort of psychological operation, narcissistic abuse. There you go. I said it. And so the point to all this isn't just to point this out. It's to encourage you to maintain control of your emotions and your thoughts. Certainly listen to this kind of stuff if you want to. Pay attention if you want to. Search it out, research it, see if it's something that's real or not, and what you feel about it and what you think about it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't let it consume you, and don't find yourself just on the big bandwagon. Whatever everyone else is following may not be necessarily where you should be going. Try to think and see clearly through all this, because when this type of stuff is going on, and it's going on at an elevated pace, which I personally feel that's what we're seeing. We're seeing almost every week some new big thing that has everyone all up in arms about. There's something new, and for that week, that's all everyone is talking about. And they're terrified that we're all gonna die of chemical rain, or we're all gonna die of being nuked, or we're all gonna die because everyone got this thing in their arm, or whatever it is. I mean, Fauci himself now is saying that, well, maybe the pokey poke didn't really do what we thought it would do. What? Now, after 2 years, you're gonna say that? Well, it's all because they've got to mess with our minds. It's really the first step in conquering a people and changing whatever it is that you're hoping to change. Certain things, or maybe it's everything. So right now, the war is being waged upon you and I. It's not on Russia or Ukraine or China or NATO or Taiwan or North or South Korea. The war is being waged on you. And they're wanting to manipulate, break you down, make you so confused that you're in a weakened state so that you can be manipulated and controlled. And then when that happens, after they've created enough chaos, they'll offer the solution, their order out of chaos. And we're going to see that happen eventually, folks. I think we're already starting to see. And I really don't think it would take very long for them to shift gears from the chaos that we're living in right now to a full-on fledged beast system, for lack of better terms. And maybe that won't happen. I admit that that's not necessarily guaranteed, but I think that it's a very likely chance, or it's very much a possible thing that could happen. And we have to be prepared for that. That's why we stock up. That's why we live as self-sufficient as we possibly can. Because the more we're on our own, the more our existence is dependent upon our own hands and by what God provides for us. And the further away we are from people, well, the better chance that we have of surviving. Because at some point, people are it's gonna just get pushed over the edge. And here's their solution, right here. Oh yes, digital money, digital ID, digital microchips in your body, implants in your brain, synthetic foods, all this kind of stuff. It's right here. We'll take care of it. No cars, no ownership. Everybody move to some little 15-minute city where you have a little pod that you live in. I know. It's much like the Matrix, but it's not really like the Matrix, but it will be. Right now is when you need to be getting yourself ready for this. Should have been doing it for a long time, but if you haven't been, certainly pick up the pace and be getting yourself stacked and stocked up. Stack it to the rafters. Been a lot of talk behind the scenes and reading between the lines and on the back page of the news that maybe we should do rationing, World War II style rationing to save the planet. Is that going to be the next thing? Forced rationing? Compelled rationing? I don't know. But you should probably be stocking up as much as you can, getting ready for that. Folks, right now it's the time to get your houses in order. It's time to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.